put it this way. So I don't know who came up with it or did it first. That's a more intriguing way to argue for loss of identity than the Jeremiah 17:4 passage. No, I mean I'm not trying to be funny. I like it's a more intriguing way. It has more. You have to go more around and do some stuff more than just.
Yeah, we got a few more.
So that's interesting. Right. I do. Sort of, it's sort of this. It looks like precept packing to me. Now you may say
we got all precept packing.
No. What I mean by that is precept packing, like putting them on top of each other.
Packing precept.
Now I know you say, well, that's how you. No, I don't agree with the interpretive methodology.
I heard y'all talk about line upon line.
That's it. So it looks like stacking things, interpreting a certain way, put them together, make a case. However, like I said, it's much more intriguing. Or I'll say this. It's a more sophisticated way to try to argue with it. But the problem is, on the plain face of those, that is not saying you lose your ethnic identity. It looks like you're reading your presupposition right on into the text, because those texts aren't about ethnic identity. They're about these are oracles against Israel in some cases, and then prophetic promises to Israel in other cases. It has nothing to do with ethnic identity.
You have to prove it.
Well, it's the nature of the text. Just the nature of the text, it's not about that. And the idea of if it's going to make the remembrance cease, then how would you lose it and then remember it again if it's ceased from
the Lord is. He said, "I will pour out."
The idea of if it's going to make the remembrance cease, then how would you lose it and then remember it again?
At the end of the day, is the Bible supreme authority on the Bible, or do you believe
the best way to interpret the Bible is with the Bible? Yeah.
Okay. So if that's the case, it's impossible not to do what we're doing. But if we did what you're doing, we would never get through the Bible. We was being Genesis chapter 2 probably for the next 5 years. That's what I'm saying. And so it's not that we speed reading. It's just that the scriptures connect that way. You know what I'm saying? Like for example,
I'm in Isaiah precept.
They don't agree that really means that. But what my point is.
Well, but the Bible doesn't say you're supposed to interpret the Bible with that method. Those are Israelites mocking the prophets for giving them baby talk. That's what it is. And
even though before it says, "How shall he teach knowledge?" and it's talking about the Lord.
that's them mocking. If we go there, I can show you. It's not designed for you to interpret scripture that way.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahawah, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, RAWCHAA, QADASH, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Also, sincere shalom to you other elders, you AHCH, you brethren, you followers of this truth. And let me say shalom to the elect. I want to go in this video, Vocab Alone, second edition of response off Apostle Tahar's video. Vocab Alone doesn't know the gospel or something of that nature. And I stumbled onto this part of the video where he says ethnic identity is not in the Bible. Now the brothers of IOG, which their belief is off to a degree, they do believe we're Israelites. I don't know why I have everybody making it why you even consider yourself being an Israelite, but I don't know. But the ethnic identity, and going to Jeremiah 17:4, even thou shalt discontinue from thine heritage. So you know what he's saying. He's saying the people of that land must have never lost their identity. They remained it, and this proves that they would have to be the people of the Bible because they never lost their identity. Because if it was true that we lost our identity, which it was, then how can these people claim to be the people of the Bible, which they adopted, the practices of the Israelites, the true biblical Israelites. So we're going to go to Isaiah 28:9, which he's quoted when it goes from precept upon precept, line upon line. I don't even have to pull it because I know the scripture. Precept from precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. And that word stammering means mock, right? Making fun of, making light of the situation, which we would mock in situations even doing the work and we might have some fun in mocking the situations, but also mocking the fact that this is mockery that the Lord is speaking to us through this language, and this language is like a mockery to languages. This is why nobody understands. This is why you have this one Jesus freak or Christian who says that you don't need other texts or sources to go deep into the Bible to understand the Bible. You just read it exactly what it says. And that's another part of it, is seeing that white Jesus, or putting Jesus in the Bible, putting that name in there. That's mockery. Okay? So this is how he would speak to his people. All right, so Jeremiah 17:4 says, even thou thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage. So let's go to Romans 1:26. We'll prove that our heritage, the Israelites' heritage, was cut off. Okay? It says it through, pretty much throughout the scriptures. Right? Isaiah 1:26. It says, and this is quoted in Hosea. He just quoted Hosea, or it might say Hosea. Okay, it says, and it shall come to pass that in a place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall ye be called the children of the living God. So we're in a place that people were saying, which is this place right here, where we're sitting, the majority of the Israelites, you ain't the people of God. That is telling you there's a disconnect of heritage, right? A disconnect of our people to the Bible. Goes on to say, Osias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, right? A remnant shall be saved, right? Only the elect, for he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness. Let me make sure I got the right. Yeah, I have the right one. Okay. Let me go on down again. Let me read that again, because it sounded a little different, and for some reason this brings up the wrong one for whatever reason, the wrong version. Okay, so anyway, let's go back again. I believe there's these they try to trick you with this stuff. Romans 1:9-25. As saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people which were not my people, and my beloved which was not my beloved. And it shall come to pass that in a place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. Osias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children are the sand of the sea, be the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved, right? So it's all about the remnant. So I just wanted to go on this real quick, and Lord's will, I'll get a comment to show you that just to look at the comment that's on this video, to go into that as well, right? So it's a remnant that will be saved. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other, and thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So that's telling you right there, there's a disconnect of heritage. That would be a people, and they'll say this, talking about another time, but some of this goes back to 70 AD. But there's another people, there would be a people who would follow other gods, which these would be biblical Israelites, which they would serve other gods in wood and stone. Now you might say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean their heritage is taken away. Well, yeah, over the period of time, if you're following this, you would have that heritage taken away. And vocab says he can't understand, he can't see how people's heritage can be taken and then all of a sudden they remember it. It's spiritual. I mean, the whole Bible is dealing with a spiritual. This is a spiritual book. You can't be a prophet, let me say a man of the Lord, if you don't believe in spiritual things. The scriptures all through it talking about awake, awake, Put on thy strength, O Jerusalem. Right? So it goes on to say, and that's when the scriptures go all the way down to talking about we were brought into Egypt and sold to our enemies. What you think when we were sold to our enemies, this is another proof, and we were scattered throughout the globe, like we got brothers in England and brothers in Europe and all over the world, right? Who owned us to a degree. What would we follow? Would we follow their belief? And then you had the time of Christianity and the Jesuits who would come in and just like when you go to jail, I was in and out of there. You always have the Catholic priest coming there trying to reform you, man, trying to get you to follow Roman Catholicism or some form of Christianity. Then he'll give you that pamphlet with the white Jesus on the front. I remember that. Okay, I specifically remember that. That's how they got down. Okay, so let's go to the comment board real quick. So this is all proof that our identity was taken. There was an ethnic identity, if that's what you want to call it. Word of Assassins, Hebrew 4:12, they can't handle the truth, the God of words. Then somebody wrote, Ben Banaka, okay, he says, where are the epistles to the Arabs or Egyptians? Why aren't the other nations mentioned in the new covenant? According to the Bible, salvation is for Israel only. So somebody replied, it is mentioned, you just don't want to acknowledge it. The word Gentiles mean nations and people other than Jews. So let's go with that. Somebody said the confusion would have been eliminated if the name of these nations was mentioned in the new covenant. Okay, but when you go to Hebrews, the 8th chapter, when you go to Revelation 7, it mentions all the Israelites anyway, the tribes. But anyway, so let's go to Gentiles. I've done videos on the Gentile, back to this again, and this tends to be a stumbling block when we look at the word Gentile, which goes to the word ethnos. And when you look at the word ethnos, it says a multitude, all right, whether of men or beasts associated living together. You'll see 1, 1a, 2, 2a, 3, 4, 5, all these definitions. This goes back to that stammering lip and another tongue, right? This is pure mockery how we have to do this with this language, and you need so many different definitions, right? And this is the confusion that our people are under, okay? So it says a multitude of individuals of the same nature or genus. So we look at the word genus. Let's look at the word genus. We went in here before. A class, a kind of group marked by common characteristics or by one common characteristic. A category of biological classification ranking between the family and the species comprising structurally or phylogenetically. Okay. Let's go with the word phylogenetics. Okay, see what that means. Of relating to phylogeny, right? Based on natural evolutionary relationships acquired in the course of phylogenetic racial. Okay? Racial. The evolution of genetics. Relating to the same group, basically, of genetics. So you can have Gentiles can be actually foreign nations, literally not bloodline to Israelites. Then you can have Gentiles of the same genetics to the origin of Israelites. You just got to know where to apply it. That's why it says 1A, 2A, 3A, and so forth and so on. And this is the confusion that a lot of people have with this word Gentile, which probably the Lord allowed it to be put there, but it was not originally a Hebrew or Greek word, right? The word, when you go into the old texts of the Bible, of the 1300s or so, and further back, I had the history of the literature on all the Bibles. When you go further back, because the King James 1611 is all we really need, far as extracting information for what we need, because we believe. But to go through further research, you'll find out the word was heathen or unbeliever. Those are two words they mainly used. So when you see the word Jew or Gentile, you would see it would even say a believer or a non-believer. It didn't even have to say Jew all the time. It would say a believer or non-believer. Why? Because this was basically speaking only to the Israelites. In a nutshell, it was speaking only to the Israelites. So when you go to the word nation, the word off of that would be persons, members of one people, compatriots, countrymen, kinsmen. And when you go to kinsmen, we go back to the same thing. This is why Revelation 7 and 9 said a multitude. The multitude will go back to Hosea 1 and 10 when you go do the research. Of all nations, kindreds, and when we look up the word kindreds, it talks about the nation of Israel. Kindreds, nations, and kindreds. Nations is describing the Israelites scattered throughout the globe, but then when you look at the kindreds, it talks about the Israelites out of the 12 out of the patriarch of Jacob, the 12 descending Israelites, the 12 tribes, right? You just have to look it up. It just takes a little bit of research, and you could kind of all put it together. The Bible wasn't just meant to read from front to back, and they say it had nothing to do with ethnicity, basically losing your ethnicity or whatever. But when we was brought over here into slavery, what were we following? What was our belief? Were we following these holy days? Holidays? Not holy days, but holidays. After the Holly branch. Hollywood. You get the point. Or were we following the Heavenly Father? Some of us was following Hebrew customs. So we were taken, our identity was stripped. And that's to the point. Our identity was stripped. Whether you want to believe it or not, there's books all through it. Let's go to Gentiles again, Romans 11:25. For I will not, brethren, see, talking about brethren, that ye be ignorant of this mystery. Why do you say it's a mystery? Lest ye should be wise in your own conceits. See, it was like this thing was written only for us to get it really fully today. That's why it was a mystery. It's like writing something and say, well, 2,000 years from now, somebody's going to realize what we're saying. Lest ye should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness is in part and happiness as it happened to Israel, unto the fullness of the Gentiles be come in, right? You got to keep reading. And so all Israel shall be saved, as is written, there shall come out of Sion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them. He keeps saying them, the Israelites, Jacob, when I shall take away their sins, right? I shall take away their sins. So this is clearly talking about the Israelites. You had Grecian Jews, you had Greeks, right? So you had believers and you had non-believers. Okay? And that's the point. So when the book was written, the epistles was written, everything was really for the Israelites. But through the Reformationists and how they rewrote it, they tried to universalize it and bring everybody in on board. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.